How's everybody doing today? Are we having fun? Are we learning a lot? This is always a very inspiring agenda. I tease Richard and Lisa about putting me kind of smack in the middle of the day. It's like, I hoped I could talk, after most of the people left to catch their flight. But as Richard mentioned, I stand before you today as probably one of the few survivors of two of John Austin's BMT for Leaders courses at two different companies. It is possible. It can be done. I started this journey with Sabic when they had their first wave in 2011, and it was an amazing experience. When I joined Momentum Specialty Chemicals, I brought John in to meet the team there, and we started the journey there in 2012. If you're not familiar with the BMT for Leaders course, it involves 6 in-person training modules with homework and reading in between. And it concludes with everyone taking the class doing a project where they apply the tools and techniques in a real-life situation. And the project can be safety, which we tend to encourage, but it can also be about quality, or it could be about really anything that is going to make their life better at work or at home. So what I'd like to share today is Momentum's story, how we're starting the journey and how we're using the BMT techniques to eliminate some of those punishers in the environment on our way to making a more positive workplace. So we've done 2 courses now. We've trained about 30 people. We're just starting our journey. We've got a lot of work to do and a lot of practice still required to get really good at this stuff, but we're on our way. Today I'd like to share 3 stories with you about folks who have used these techniques we learned in class to go after some of those minor annoyances and things that happen day to day in life and work that weigh us down. So hopefully you can see some similarities perhaps in your workplace or in your home life, and maybe this inspires you to go after some of those same improvement opportunities. A lot of talk so far today about email. Show of hands, who here gets too much email in a day? Yeah, about 3/4 of the room, so great. That was Amy's story. It almost actually looks like her too, that's great. Amy went through our second wave of training, and we selected her because she has just a great outlook and a really positive energy, and we wanted to see what she could accomplish if we gave her the BMT tools. Amy works in our supply chain group, and about the time the course started, she took on some additional responsibilities. Well, as you folks in the room may have experienced as well, when you do that, your inflow of email tends to go up. In fact, her flow to her inbox quadrupled. So it got to be kind of overwhelming for her at time. Inspired by the Too Busy Trap booklet, and in this situation, she used this as the inspiration for her class project. She was being punished by her inbox. So an approach could have been for Amy just to send out a cease and desist note, or to just live with the problem long term. But using the techniques we learned in class, Amy had a positive conversation with the department who was sending her all these messages. And she sought to understand which ones were important and which ones could be dropped, and built on that relationship. And as you see from the data, dramatically reduced the inflow of unneeded email into her inbox. So again, traditional method may be to just carry on, live with a punishment, hand out extinction to the person who's sending you all these notes, and live with the fear and uncertainty that comes up with this, that goes along with that. But Amy's story is she used the BMT techniques to find a better way. So if Amy was getting punished at her own desk, John addressed a punishment that was going on across the plant site. John is our maintenance and technical leader on the site, and he went through our first wave of training. Along the way of about the same time that he was going through the course, John discovered a problem in our maintenance planning process that was allowing some work requests to not get planned and rather go into a backlog that, frankly, no one had visibility to. Kind of an embarrassing problem. But John could have kind of swept it under the carpet, could have kind of deleted the oldest work requests and started over with a clean slate. See, he and his team thought they were being very responsive when people would put in work requests, but there was a large population of the plant that was feeling extinction because their requests were kind of going into the ether. So John used this as a basis for his project. He shared the data, came clean with the issue, and went about communicating with everyone on these older issues, and also put together a goal for his team to reduce. So he set up some reinforcement for himself and communicated the data. As a result, he was able to improve the communication between his team and the rest of the plant site, and also improve our own maintenance planning process, and dramatically and sustainably reduce the backlog of orders. So a great story there of how he's eliminated a major source of extinction that was going on, that was right beneath our noses, and we didn't even know about it. The last story is about Bob. Bob is one of our shift supervisors who went through the second wave of training. He had been given a goal by his boss to implement 5S in one of his areas. 5S, you know the story, right? Go clean things up, get things labeled, put it where it needs to be, everybody's happy. So Bob had been given this goal, and he could have just handed it down to his team with kind of a traditional, hey, do it because I said so approach, with maybe a threat of punishment. That would feel a lot like another Flavor of the Month initiative, which we learned yesterday doesn't have a very good track record. Bob used this as a focus of his project, and because he understood that when his people had to leave their work area to go find a tool or find some supplies, it was punishment for them. Nobody likes to have to delay a batch, or no one likes to have to go search for things that should be right there. So he took a really novel approach that I loved. He had his team collect data. So he asked them every day for the next week or so, time yourself. How long you spend going and looking for something that you need. The data was staggering. 37 minutes per person per shift that we were losing. Complete wasted, non-value add time. People were going to look for things. So because Bob got his team involved, he shared the data with them and got them involved in the solution. They were able to design tool boards, pretty simple solution, but it kept the process better organized, kept things where it needed to be. And because his folks had this data that showed the improve, less than 5 minutes per shift per person, this made a major impact, and they've been able to sustain the gains by doing this. So he took a source of everyday punishment and turned it into something that is very reinforcing for everyone in that area. So, in conclusion, we've discovered that on our journey to creating a more reinforcing workplace, you've got to fix the simple things, those minor everyday punishments, because those are really the weeds that choke out the growth of positive reinforcement. Now, none of these projects were complex or expensive. It was just about giving people the tools and giving them the challenge to go change something. So our company's journey continues, as do the personal journeys of the folks I've talked about here today, and several others who've gone through the class. It's amazing to see them continually looking for ways to apply this, both at work and at home. Folks who are realizing that they've been handing out punishment without intending to, so starting to understand the downstream impacts of their actions and changing their behavior without a big project, without a big presentation, but just because it's the right thing to do, and they're getting the feedback and they're acting on it. It's been amazing to watch. For me personally, going back through the course with John, as I tease him about, what was great. It was very energizing. It filled in a lot of gaps from the first round, and it refocused my efforts in a lot of areas. And bringing BMT to this team has been one of the most fun and rewarding things I've done in my career. And every day, I look forward to where the next step on our journey is going to take us. Thank you for your time.